see you guys in the dark.
As I stepped into the raucous atmosphere of Delta Zeta fraternity, a mixture of excitement and nervousness bubbled in my gut. It was a notorious brotherhood on campus, a place where easily one too many nights ended in loud parties, lofty tales, and clinking red cups. I was a freshly minted college student buzzing with dreams of becoming a veterinarian, yet blissfully unaware of the storm that was about to take over my life. The first few weeks were a blur of laughter and laughter-tinged regrets. The brothers welcomed me as if I had always belonged, initiating me through hazing rites that only strengthened our bonds. We would often gather around a bonfire, taking dares that led to ridiculous stunts that would have sent any sane individual running. The thrill of living on the edge was intoxicating, and in those moments, night after night, I felt at home. But as the semester progressed, the parties spread like a web, entangling me tighter with every drink. I would wake up on my dorm room floor, the stench of stale beer mingling with the aroma of something vaguely resembling regret. My grades, once a reliable metric of my hard work, started sliding. The stakes of veterinary school weren't low, yet I risked everything for fleeting moments of merriment. It was only halfway through the semester when the towering shadow of my midterm grades cast a dark pall over my once optimistic outlook. I saw the letters printed clearly on the paper: F, D+, C. What have I done? I asked myself in defeat. The vision of myself as a future veterinarian flickered like a dying bulb. My party-loving brothers seemed to not care, often shoving drinks into my hands and shrugging off my worries with laughter. Yet, in their jovial taunts, I began to feel the weight of their expectations. But the wall I hit was dark and harsh, and it pressed on me, relentlessly. Night after night I lay awake, fear gnawing at my insides. If I didn't turn things around, I wouldn't qualify to apply for veterinary school. I could see the faces of the animals I wanted to help, their pleading eyes flickering in my mind. They needed me. Yet here I was, wasting away, lost in a fraternal illusion. Finally, the realization struck like lightning. With every fiber of my being, I decided to quit the drinking and the networking that felt more like a noose than a safety net. I could feel the weight of the fraternity's laughter behind me, rippling through the hallways, but I stood my ground. As I poured the final remnants of alcohol down the sink, a sickly sweet relief washed over me. "Oh, come on. One more party won't kill you," said Johnny, a senior who was as carefree as he was obnoxious. But I stood firm. The weight of my ambition was starting to eclipse the glimmer of the parties. The brothers tried to convince me, relentlessly pushing beer bottles into my hands, insisting I stay. Yet, each time they laughed, I felt like they mocked the blood, sweat, and tears I had poured into my dreams. The tension grew as I made my decision clear. I would forgo the parties, avoid the late-night revelries, and focus on my studies. I could almost hear the collective sigh behind me, as if the fraternity was deflating like an overripe balloon. My heart sank at the thought of leaving, of saying goodbye to the way I once lived, but I knew it was necessary. I had to break free from their grasp, even if I was leaving behind friends I had come to trust. As the semester ended and I prepared for finals, my dedication began to pay off. I buried myself in textbooks, lab manuals, and study groups. Success became an intoxicating drive that felt far more rewarding than any night spent in drunkenness. Surprisingly, I began to earn the respect of my professors and peers as my grades slowly improved. Each A I received became a badge of honor, and every study session meant taking one more step towards my dream. But the fraternity never fully let go. I caught whispers of their late night parties from classmates who were still wrapped in that world. A part of me missed it desperately, the sound of camaraderie, the rush of living wildly, but I knew that it was no longer my path. I had made my choice, and though it felt lonely at times, achieving my dream was scarier than any party could ever be. I often wondered if I regretted leaving the fraternity behind, but looking at My study plan, calendar, and polished exam results gave me my answer. I was on track to save lives, and that was something worth far more than a night of reckless abandon. To me, that was ultimately the real victory. The rain drummed against the worn-out windows of the community center where the GED classes were held. It was here, amidst the scattered books and the faint smell of stale coffee, that Liam met Jordan. At first, they were just two boys in a classroom, struggling to make sense of their lives despite the chaos that surrounded them. As the weeks unfolded into months, their connection blossomed into something deep and meaningful. Every night after class, they would find themselves sharing laughter over takeout or curled up on the couch playing video games. Liam would sneak out of his bedroom window just to hang out with Jordan, their friendship woven together with shared secrets and stolen glances. They became each other's refuge from the weight of life outside the classroom. However, as the seasons changed, so did the atmosphere between them. The laughter that had once filled the air began to dim when Jordan casually made derogatory remarks about their classmates, primarily targeting the girls in their class and the LGBTQ community. At first, Liam shrugged it off, hoping it was just some careless chatter. But as weeks went by, Jordan's comments turned sharper, more aggressive, hinting at a darkness simmering beneath his facade. Liam felt uneasy but remained loyal to his friend. However, as their friendship deepened, Jordan started to show a possessive side. Every plan not centered around him seemed to spark an unexpected fury in Jordan. "You want to hang out with that guy from your class? Why not just skip it and watch a movie with me instead?" Jordan would say, his voice laced with frustration. Liam would often dismiss the comments, attributing them to a bad day or stress. They had built something solid, hadn't they? But with each passing day, Jordan's demeanor shifted from possessiveness to outright aggression. It was subtle at first, just a look that lingered too long or a comment that hit too close to home. But soon it escalated to outright manipulation, with Jordan making demands that tugged at the very fabric of Liam's existence. One evening, feeling trapped under the pressure, Liam decided he needed space. He told Jordan he needed some time alone, but that only stoked the flames of Jordan's anger. "Why do you need time? What's so important about being alone?" "We should be together," Jordan yelled, the passion in his voice doing little to mask an underlying threat. Fear prickled at the back of Liam's mind as he assessed the toxic nature of their relationship. Liam felt uneasy but remained loyal to his friend. However, as their friendship deepened, Jordan started to show a possessive side. Every plan not centered around him seemed to spark an unexpected fury in Jordan. "You want to hang out with that guy from your class? Why not just skip it and watch a movie with me instead?" Jordan would say, his voice laced with frustration. Liam would often dismiss the comments, attributing them to a bad day or stress. They had built something solid, hadn't they? But with each passing day, Jordan's demeanor shifted from possessiveness to outright aggression. It was subtle at first, just a look that lingered too long or a comment that hit too close to home. But soon it escalated to outright manipulation, with Jordan making demands that tugged at the very fabric of Liam's existence. One evening, feeling trapped under the pressure, Liam decided he needed space. He told Jordan he needed some time alone, but that only stoked the flames of Jordan's anger. "Why do you need time? What's so important about being alone?" "We should be together," Jordan yelled, the passion in his voice doing little to mask an underlying threat. Fear prickled at the back of Liam's mind as he assessed the toxic nature of their relationship. Liam finally made the hard decision to step back. He stopped replying to messages and ignored Jordan's texts and calls. As he distanced himself, he felt an overwhelming sense of relief washing over him, a stark contrast to the pressure and stress he had carried for months. Days turned into weeks, and the weight on Liam's shoulders lightened. He rediscovered his interests, immersed himself in studying, and began reconnecting with friends he had neglected. His world, once clouded by Jordan's influence, began to clear. But just as things started to normalize, there were whispers. It began as innocent rumors, but quickly escalated. One night, while walking home, Liam felt the hairs on the back of his neck prickle. He turned, half expecting to see Jordan. Instead, there was nothing, just the empty street echoing with silence. Yet the feeling lingered, a shadow creeping ever closer. It wasn't long before the true horror of the situation dawned on him. Jordan wasn't taking rejection lightly. His grip was still, strong, and he was hunting for Liam, ready to reclaim what he believed belonged to him. As days went on, the sense of dread started to seep into every moment of Liam's life. One evening, as he prepared for bed, he heard a soft knock on the window. His heart raced. He glanced over, and there stood Jordan, a wicked smile painted across his face, a motivating mix of rage and obsession lingering in his eyes. The boundaries of their friendship had been shattered, leaving behind a chilling reminder of how friendship can mold into something monstrous. Desperate and frightened, Liam knew he had to confront this. Once brotherly bond turned malevolent. He had to summon every ounce of courage to face Jordan and reclaim his peace or risk losing himself entirely in the darkness surrounding him. I sat nervously in my first Drugs Anonymous meeting. My hands fidgeted with the hem of my oversized sweatshirt, and I could feel the weight of my past choices pressing down on me. There I was, a 22-year-old who had once believed that drugs were the answer to my restless nights and painful days. But now, sitting in a circle of strangers who knew the same struggles, I hoped to begin the process of repairing my life. As the weeks went by, I found comfort in the camaraderie of my new friends. Sarah, with her bright red hair and infectious laugh, was the first to make me feel welcome. She had been sober for over a year and spoke passionately about her journey. Lisa, quieter and more reserved, often nodded in agreement as we shared our stories. And then there was Tara, a free spirit who had a knack for bringing everyone together. We were bound by our shared desires to break free from the shackles of our addictions. One crisp autumn evening, Tara invited us to her house for a small get-together after our meeting. I hesitated at first, worries creeping in about the potential for temptation to rear its ugly head. But the warmth of friendship won me over, and soon I was laughing and relaxing with the girls in Tara's cozy living room. The flickering light of candles created a comforting ambiance, and after sharing our struggles, I felt a sense of safety, like nothing could harm us inside that room. As the night progressed, the conversation shifted. Smirking, glances and laughs turned into whispers, and before I knew it, Sarah had brought out a small bag of colorful pills. "Come on, it's just one. You'll feel amazing just like old times," she said, her voice laced with a mix of playfulness and persuasion. My heart raced as I felt the pressure coiling around me like a snake. I could see the excitement in their eyes, but I also felt a cold wave of dread. "No, I can't," I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. Memories of the blackouts and the destruction that followed flooded my mind like a haunting echo. I stood up, shaking my head, trying to piece together the courage I needed, but the shadows of temptation loomed dangerously close. "Don't be like that. You're not quitting us, are you?" Lisa chimed, and I saw a flash of disappointment in her expression. But I knew if I took that step, I'd be trading one set of chains for another. "I'm not quitting you." "I'm trying to save myself," I replied, my breath shaky. The realization struck me hard. If I truly wanted to change, I mustn't let my fear of being alone control me. As the night progressed, the conversation shifted. Smirking, glances and laughs turned into whispers, and before I knew it, Sarah had brought out a small bag of colorful pills. "Come on, it's just one. You'll feel amazing just like old times," she said, her voice laced with a mix of playfulness and persuasion. My heart raced as I felt the pressure coiling around me like a snake. I could see the excitement in their eyes, but I also felt a cold wave of dread. "No, I can't," I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. Memories of the blackouts and the destruction that followed flooded my mind like a haunting echo. I stood up, shaking my head, trying to piece together the courage I needed, but the shadows of temptation loomed dangerously close. Don't be like that. You're not quitting us, are you? Lisa chimed, and I saw a flash of disappointment in her expression. But I knew if I took that step, I'd be trading one set of chains for another. I'm not quitting you. I'm trying to save myself, I replied, my breath shaky. The realization struck me hard. If I truly wanted to change, I mustn't let my fear of being alone control me. I never thought that my high school experience would take such a dark turn. When I first entered Pine Grove High, I was nervous like any freshman, but it didn't take long for me to fall in with a group of kids who seemed cool, carefree, and welcoming. There was Jake, the instigator with a contagious smile, Lily, the charming girl with a penchant for adventure, and Sam, the quiet kid who somehow always managed to make the craziest suggestions. At first it was harmless. We skipped classes once in a while and hung out behind the school, sharing secrets and laughter. They made me feel part of something meaningful, something special, but the spark of friendship quickly cast eerie shadows. It began one Friday afternoon when Jake casually suggested we sneak into a convenience store. Just for fun, man. We'll just grab a couple of candy bars. No one will know. My heart raced at the thought. Stealing was wrong. I hated the idea but wanted to fit in. In that moment, I said yes, against my better judgment. That night, we swiped a few snacks, and surprisingly, it felt exhilarating. We laughed, high on adrenaline, and I convinced myself that it was just a fluke, an adventure I would never repeat. But it wasn't just a one-time thrill. Their reckless spirit was insatiable. Over the next few weeks, they escalated their antics. From petty thefts at stores, they investigated the idea of robbing houses. It was chilling to hear, especially coming from my friends. I remember one evening at Jake's house, huddled in his dimly lit basement, when he presented the plan with an unsettling enthusiasm. We do it at night, when people are asleep. It's easy. They won't even know, Jake said, his eyes glinting with mischief, as if he was conjuring a diabolical fantasy. Lily giggled, her laughter sending a shiver down my spine. No, I thought, this can't happen. I felt trapped in a nightmare, where the friends I held dear were morphing into something sinister. I tried to back away, first with excuses, then outright refusals. But every time I said no, I felt their anger growing. It was no longer just about friendship, it was survival. As they planned their first house break-in, I took a different route, home, avoiding the old street where Jake lived. I didn't want any part of it, I just hoped they would tire of this madness. But they didn't. The final straw came one winter evening. They invaded a neighbor's house thinking they could get away with it. But when I heard the sirens blaring, my heart dropped. I stood by my window, shivering not due to the cold, but fear of what came next. The cops arrested them, but the relief was short-lived. That night my phone buzzed. It was a message from Jake. You think you're safe. You can't just watch us from the sidelines. I shuddered and blocked him, knowing I had to tell someone before it got worse. I went to the principal's office the next day, my palms sweaty and my heart pounding in my chest. I explained everything, and to my surprise, she listened intently. You did the right thing, she said, her voice soft yet firm. We will keep you safe. I was transferred to another class and relocated far from the trouble. But as days passed, the fear gripped me tighter. I still saw shadows of my past lurking in the hallways. Then came the fateful news. A fire had engulfed a car parked across from my house, the flames crackling like laughing hounds. It belonged to a family who had their home broken into days before. Jake, Lily, and Sam were caught and taken away, left to face the consequences of their reckless folly. While they were gone, I fought to shake the terror of what could have been. I had escaped their grasp, but every time I heard the sirens in the distance, my heart still raced. I was free, yet haunted by the memories of a friendship that had twisted into a nightmare. The scars would remain, a chilling reminder of the thin line between loyalty and fear, and how fragile trust can be.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.